All right,
Supposed to be a good day too.
gonna call the meeting to order. Today is Thursday, April 24th, 6 p.m. A joint Department of Public Works Subcommittee and Town Council meeting in the Veterans Meeting Room. Note, it's possible a quorum of the Town Council will be present and discuss the agenda items, but voting rights shall be limited to subcommittee members in attendance. Also note, the items listed which may be discussed at the meeting are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. Roll call. Councilor Daniels.
Present.
Councilor Rivas.
I think she's
Absent.
excused. She's going to a community event.
Okay,
in
so
July.
we'll put her as excused. Citizen member
Cody.
Cody, absent. Citizen member Lazo.
Present.
All right. Review and discuss the Public Works transfer of $65,000 from account number 610-450-583-000-91250. Capital Reserve to account number 610-450-583,000-25580. Entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Town Council.
Second. Okay.
Then a motion made and seconded.
Just as a point of information, on the town council agenda, you're going to see at the end of 25580 just system capital budget. I
Okay.
added that because that's the name of the account, just so you know. Okay?
All right. I did get a call from Steve saying he may not be here.
Yeah.
Or he'd be late about this particular item. And if you look at the transfer paper that you got, it's pretty self-explanatory what it is. You know, the expenses of, you know, they had quite a few multiple main breaks and equipment and valve replace on Mass Ave. So, my understanding, this money is coming out of an account that would normally, what's left over, we have to share.
So, yeah, so we allocate every year $100,000 for capital reserve. So, and that's for any major, like
Right.
this, for any major issues that may come up throughout the year. If we didn't spend it, it would go close out to the the retained earnings.
Right.
And then out of those retained earnings, we have to do the sharing with Charlton.
Right,
So
so-
he, whatever he tries to purchase, allocate for whatever project, then he'll buy some water
Right.
mains and valves and things like that for the next upcoming.
So it's really, it's the benefit of the water supply that this is,
Yeah, it is.
that
It is
we
better.
buy it and do these
Yeah.
things. So, discussion? Seeing none? All those in favor? Opposed? None. Unanimous, all present. Review and discuss the FY 26 Department of Public Works budget in the amount of $2,241,037. Entertain a motion to submit to Town Council as presented.
So, second.
All right, discussion. I could ask, nobody from DPW here?
Butch couldn't make it, and because we had to switch of the dates.
Okay,
All right, so he's not here, and of course, you know Michelle's situation.
yeah,
So I'm undertaking it for the Department of Public Works,
Okay.
and I'll gladly answer any questions. We've done, just so you know, if there's particular questions, but when you look at the salary account, it's an increase of 12.4%. If you remember, and the reason for the 12.4%, if you remember last year when we presented the budget, we were in a collective bargaining year, so we didn't do any increases from the previous year's salaries, okay? So we had to do those adjustments once the contract was negotiated. So this would show the collective bargaining increases plus whatever percentage it is this year, which I believe it's at 2% for this fiscal year.
have we, in the budget, accounted for maybe giving Pete Preventure some additional stipend for being, I mean, he's,
So this would be next year's budget.
Okay.
I do anticipate coming to the council with a
Alright.
recommendation. We do have plenty of money in this year's budget because we have vacancies.
Right.
So we are putting that together with a fair and equitable stipend for the additional duties. I'm
Now-
sure you'll support it.
all right, my one question, I've seen a couple positions of open positions.
Yep.
Are those the workers?
Yep, so we've had continuously 2 MMEOs,
Right.
Vacancies that we've been trying to recruit for. They continue to be open, but they are in the budget, we didn't remove them. And the other positions, the DPW director, the deputy director, And then we've also, if you remember when we did the restructuring of the DPW, we added an admin assistant. If you remember that?
I
That was
remember,
part of-
right.
So
Now,
that's on page 3.
that admin assistant isn't the girl that's there now?
No, this was another additional position that Rich had requested, an
Okay.
admin assistant, if you
So
remember.
we're still planning on trying to get somebody.
So I have held off filling this position until this budget is adopted, only because I want to make sure this budget is adopted. As you're aware that I mentioned at the council meeting, we had huge increase in health insurance,
Right.
right? So if the council makes changes at the budget level at the council floor, when we adopt the budget, I don't want to have to lay somebody off. So, do you understand what I mean?
Yep.
So
So-
I'm holding that off on that.
Okay, I think that's about it. Oh, yeah, I guess my question was, Michael Labarge, I'll just
Yeah.
use him as an example.
Right.
You have 40 hours at 32,000, 40 hours at 20,000. Why do we have that?
Because there would be a mid-year step increase.
Okay.
All right, so normally it's, you go how many weeks at his step currently, and then you would add on this step. You understand, the majority of these employees are all at their high step on the veteran one, but that was a new hire, so we had to account for that. The same with Sean LaValle, if you look at him, he has 2 different
Right.
ones, so
Those are
that's the
two.
reason why.
My other question, sewer and water, is multiple accounts of sewer and water.
Yeah,
Are those for different meters?
different town buildings,
Town buildings?
yeah, because those come under the DPW.
Are we
So
looking
town hall and all
to
that.
eventually centralize all that?
Yeah, so in this fiscal year's budget, we took electricity out. I believe if you see electricity, they're zeroed out. You
Yeah,
can
I
go down
did
the
see that,
page.
yes.
So this year, and again, because of circumstances that were beyond our control, we had planned on doing a more extensive centralization of that. We've taken out the electricity this year, and that's all gonna be taken care of here in the town hall.
Okay,
So, yes.
Yeah.
But that is the goal.
all right.
Yeah.
I have a couple more things. You gave us some capital things.
Yes.
In there, we talk about a director's vehicle for 27 or 26 on the DPW.
For this fiscal year, yes.
We just bought one last year.
So, the vehicle that the former director secured
Correct.
was not an appropriate vehicle for a DPW director when it was ordered. I did not know that that was the vehicle he was ordering. I thought it was gonna be a DPW vehicle, similar to the other ones.
Pretty plush.
It was. So we have transitioned that vehicle to the police department, so we will give the police, because it is a police vehicle, that's the typical vehicles they have for the police department, and reduce any requests from the police department and recommend.
We're seeing 2 cruisers for the police.
That's their request, that doesn't,
Right,
all that is the request that, what the departments put in, so that sheet just says, that is not what I'm
Right,
requesting right now.
so,
That'll be a further meeting down the road.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's all I have.
yeah,
John?
Looks fairly straightforward to me.
yeah. And you look at some
Wanna
of
sell it?
just still, because it's on TV and for Council Kelly, so if he has any questions, or Council Montigny down there. We really did this year when we did the budget, Dean, and then when Michelle returned back, we did a deep dive into all these accounts and really analyzed previous spending. And because it was a difficult budget to balance because of the unknowns in the state, and the health insurance costs, right? So that was the big drive, the health insurance cost. So our budget goal this year was to not eliminate any positions and have it level serviced from what we have this year, with the collective bargaining increases, and you'll see some reductions in some expenses, and that's based on trends and what they've spent. So we really went through it.
Anybody? Counselor?
Thank you, through you. I don't have my book with me, I came straight from work today, so, but I remember when I was going through it last night, and I remember line item I think it was salaries,
Salary and wages?
salary and wages, there seemed to be a significant increase
Yeah.
in what we're budgeting as to what we actually spent last fiscal year.
Well, we have a lot of vacancies, and that's why. There was a lot of vacancies at the end of last year and vacancies this year. So that's why we have those substantial balances. But the operators of we need those bodies, so we continue to recruit. The two big ones, you gotta remember, we didn't have a assistant DPW director all year. That's $100,000, you know? And then we've had, historically, over the last 2 to 3 years, since I've been here, probably 2 MMEOs down, so that's another 120, so that's almost $250,000. So it's in the budget. If we don't fill it, then it goes back to free cash at the end of the year. But we're budgeting to have full staff to make sure that they can do their operations.
But the increases that on the salary and wages, we see a original budget of 153, or actual 24, the actual is 1.1 million.
Yeah.
25, original was 1.5 million. Revised stayed that way, but then we showed the town manager at 1.7 million. Is that to include all the pay raises and,
Yeah, so the budget last year was 1.5 million.
right?
We only spent 1 million, so yes, there was 500,000, and that's a lot of positions
Yeah.
that weren't filled. Kudos to them for operating the way they have, right? So our increase is you're gonna go from the 1.5 to the 1.7.
And that takes into account the pay raises?
Collective bargaining and,
Okay.
the collective bargaining, the project manager at the part-time,
Yep.
60, and the admin assistant.
Okay,
So you can see why we struggled when I came to the council and said I wanted a part-time at high, quality. That's because, you know,
Now-
budget was tough.
I know we talked about leases and copy and those kind of things.
Yes.
Are we working towards a goal of being one lease for everything?
Yes, so that is the other thing. So, like I said, we did electricity to bring it all in-house. We're gonna review the lease copiers to bring that in, you know, and anything else that we can bring into a centralized accounting person here, accounts payable person, to be able to manage those contracts we are doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that will, you're gonna eventually look to do like water and sewer, the same thing?
Yeah.
And anything that multiple departments use?
Yeah, and we're gonna verify with the auditor that, is there a specific reason you wanna do building by building for those expenses? If not, then it makes sense to,
Right.
copiers is fine, electricity I think is fine, and I think we're gonna continue to do that. Especially the electricity, because, this electric we brought in-house now, and that's even this fiscal year, so this is not even the last one. All our electric bills are now being handled by Emma in the accounting office.
All right.
So she has online access, she accesses all the bills, she's reconciled with our solar credits, we had a meeting with that. So now it's a little, those, because there's balances, past due balance, you know, so many accounts, she has it all organized on a spreadsheet. One line where she goes online, looks at all the buildings, and we're able to clean it all up.
All right. One thing more on personnel.
Yeah,
Janitorial services for the town buildings. We just got the senior center, he's leaving, next week actually.
yeah.
I know during the course of the year, we talked about hiring a full-time person to do multiple buildings. Is that a plan, or you're gonna still hire somebody to come in for the 20 hours or 25 hours a week, whatever it is?
So we had some preliminary discussions about that because the police department also lost their part-time
Oh,
custodian.
that's right, Bernie.
Okay, so they had down a part-time. So the question is, do we continue with 2 part-time custodians or hire 1 full-time to handle both those buildings? But then you talked about cost benefits, so we have to see how this budget goes through the rest of this cycle. And if we can, we'll move to that. You know, but if you, part-time at 19, unless you're not paying all the benefits, it's
Right.
not all. If we do, that's all the benefits that, on a very tight budget year. If it wasn't as tight as it is right now, probably safe.
So, what happens to those buildings now, the police and the senior center or the community center?
I'll have to talk to Kate. I don't know what the status is of the hiring of that because I've been monitoring
Right.
other things, but I'll follow up on that.
Because I know in the past you sent Joel down to do
Yeah.
some.
Yeah,
some
we'll
of the
talk
stuff.
with Butch about.
Okay, so So you're gonna look to see what
Yeah.
would be better for the town, either two part-timers
Yeah.
or one full-timer to do
Right.
multiple buildings.
Or we may look at this existing budget, we've had two MMAOs open for a long time, do we transition one of those to just a straight maintenance person and assign them to, as the third custodian afloat in all the buildings?
Oh, that's an
We could do
idea,
that. So there's a bunch of different things we could
Right.
do, it's just a little bit more discussion that we have to
too. All
have,
right,
right? Because if we can't recruit MMAOs, but we can recruit a company that wants to do that, and then maybe they'll grow into a MMAO or something like that, but.
all right. Anything else? Mike, you all right?
No, I'm fine. I was just looking to see if the camera was working.
Steve, anything?
I just got, we talked about it earlier, and I was gonna run it through the chairman, talk to the chairman of the council also on this. I have a family member that's in this budget. Am I in conflict?
No, I believe because it's an overall budget, the entire budget, you're not in conflict, because it's not specific. He's
Okay.
covered under collective bargaining, I don't see that would be an issue.
Okay, thank you. That's it, thanks.
Okay, no more questions? All right, all those in favor of presenting this budget as presented by town manager? Okay, DPW budget is done. Review and discuss FY 2026 1495. Excuse me, I'll just shut it off. I don't know why I didn't do that. Review and discuss FY 2026 1495 snow and ice budget in the amount of $406,700. Entertain a motion to submit to town council as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, discussion. We'll go into it with the town manager.
Yeah, it's level funded. We funded this at this amount, we've funded this at this amount for a number of years. We're a little bit over in the overtime this year, but historically, we've been pretty close. So we're comfortable leaving it at that, and we'll transfer within the specialized services. Specialized services is any outside equipment that we hire, salt, under our salt contracts and all that.
Discussion? Steve? Anybody from out there? Nothing? Okay. All those in favor of the presenting budget of snow and ice? 3 in favor, none opposed.
Mr. Chairman, I spoke to you about something I wanted to bring up earlier.
Yeah, I was just gonna bring that up. Citizen member Steve asked me to have an update of the Petro property on Jessup Hill Road with the drainage. And I did tell him that I had asked for an update, and we're not gonna vote on anything, it just,
Okay. Through you, okay. I've been in contact with Miss DePietro. She's gonna be hiring someone, which is Mr. Pioppi, to do her driveway over. There is no right-of-way on that property for that drain. What she doesn't wanna do is block the thing right now because of a water problem, but she'd like to get it done this year. The kid next door, Zach Sherman, has a little pond there, which is illegal, and it's not, that was a temporary thing, as you know.
Yeah.
He wants, Mr. Pioppi said he'd fill that in and then get rid of it in his deal with the Petro. So, what they really wanna know is, where does it stand, can that drain Mr. Benoit brought it forward, that they wanna do the drain on the other side of the road and cross on the other side of Sherman's, what his name house is. So, can this be done this year, that drain on the other side, because they don't wanna make a problem on the road in the wintertime.
Yeah.
But she'd like to get her driveway done, and Mr. Pioppi's ready to go do it, but I told her, I said, let me hold off on this, because I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, so, I remember being there for the meeting
Right.
with that. And then, of course, we don't have, no longer, so I will follow up on that to see if
Okay.
I can have Butch go look at it.
Yeah.
We'll come up with a plan on that. I remember how it was gonna go right down culverts and
Then
cut
you
across.
cross, because right on the other side of Zach's is
Yeah,
goes into the river.
Yeah, so I'll follow up on that.
Council Lasso.
I explained to Mr. Petro in February that the DPW director put to us 3 projects there was another one with Mr. Marcucci. They were all coupled together and they were gonna be taken care of first thing in the spring. The DPW director has exited, and now we need to circle back. But the thing is, she constantly talks to everybody like nobody's talking to her. I'm washing my hands of this thing, because I said I would handle it, but it seems like they want them to handle it, you to handle it. Bottom line comes down to is, we need a DPW director, we need these management positions that we're working on to be filled. Mr. Petro understands that's how it was gonna be. Don't know why she's stirring it again with a different member of the committee. So for me, I'm done. All on you.
And I just, for the public,
You know the schedule of the roads everywhere.
nobody has ever come to my office directly to ask me directly.
Correct.
Okay, and
I know
that
that.
to me, that, you know, because quite frankly, with,
I had
like the
recommended
chairman.
her, I had recommended her to
Yeah.
come to see you.
So like the chairman says, there's so many things going on, it just, that's not front of mind. Now that it's been brought to my attention, I'm honestly gonna say, I don't believe Mr. Benoit did any concrete plans on it outside of a concept.
Right.
So I will follow up with Bush and say, hey.
I'm gonna have her call you and meet with you.
Yeah, that's fine, yep.
That way there, you take it
fine.
up with her and I'm out
Yeah,
of it.
and we'll see what we can do and.
My concern is that they start a project and ultimately do damage to the road. I believe you can't do that.
No, correct.
You're not allowed to cause a problem. If you cause a problem, you become liable for it.
Again, it's
So,
just
I'll let-
communication,
Right.
you know, again, a follow-up call, gladly follow up on it, and,
I'll have
all
a, I'll have a head meeting.
right,
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Nope.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor? Oh, that was a quick meeting.